Hey everybody, it's the 18th of March, 2024. This is Cardano Go Live Coding with Gimbalabs, Blink Labs, and friends. We started off last week, so this is our second session, and I just want to do a quick screen share of a Miro board that we started to use to organize our work last week. And so here's the idea. A CLI, like the one we're building here, isn't really a single program. It's just a wrapper for a whole bunch of different programs that can run independently. And so, for example, if you build your own CLI by the way we're doing it, and the way this project is structured was demonstrated last week, you can start adding basically routes or endpoints, if you're familiar with APIs, right, to that program. We could have a program called write, and it could have different sub-programs called write metadata or write datum. And then we could have another one called query, and it could have, just like Cardano CLI does, a program called query tip. And we demonstrated these ones last week using Goroboros to query the tip. It's not that special. Cardano CLI already does this for us. But if we make the right progress today, we're going to start to see what is special about the way we did things last week. And then we have another one that's just data processing, right? Structuring metadata. If you're like me, you don't like having to go look at the schema and start from scratch every time you write a JSON file. It's really nice just to have a little program that spits out properly formatted data for you. And that can be in JSON or any other format. We saw the JSON example last week. So we're using the word islands because each of these, write or query or whatever else we build, can be run completely independently of everything else. Another way to say it is that what we build on this island is not going to break anything over on this island. So for today, we were thinking about adding an example island to our collection of things we can do. And Professor Mix is here. What were you thinking we would build today?
Well, I was thinking that what if we can start something which at the end of the day would help us to understand the whole underlying technology and the moving part of Cardano better. And I think the best place to start would be the transaction, right? The transaction is core uh, principle or the core thing of the whole Cardano or any blockchain, but especially Cardano because it's a special transaction building because of UTXO and all these things. And of course, there are other tools such as the front end guys like Lucid, Mesh, and of course, our good old friend Cardano CLI. But in order to really understand what's going on, I think we have a chance to build these transaction or this process with available tools, and that's a good thing. We couldn't do this maybe 1 year ago, but now thanks to many uh, awesome people such as Blink Labs, Eduardo, many more who participated in Golang community, we can now today build a transaction, submit it, and go and look into that and see what's going on. So yeah, the island for today would be the transaction. And we are going to start with simple, by the way. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
simple.
It's
We're just going to
small,
send
yeah,
some
it's small.
lovelace, right?
Yeah, indeed, indeed.
Okay. That's
It's
kind of
not
like
that
the
like, yeah,
hello world of Cardano development.
exactly, exactly.
Perfect. So I'll stop screen sharing here, hand it off to you. And hey, the challenge is
Uh,
on. You only have 50 minutes to get us through this. So Let's
15.
five
Let's
zero, 5-0.
no, I know, but tell me 15 so I can finish it in
All
50,
right, 15
please.
minutes to having our first transaction island set up, and then we'll see how deep we can go under the hood.
Yeah.
What you got?
So first, guys, can you see my screen?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. And I magnified the whole screen so you can see what's going on. Otherwise, I don't do that. I mean, I normally code something like this. But anyway, so yeah, if you guys remember the last week, we had Playground Island, Query Island, and Write Island. So today, I added Transaction Island. So if we look at the transaction uh, Go file. You can see it's just like a simple thing that I think you guys are familiar. It is similar with any island. We just added like transaction add command, and inside it we have something that I'm going to demonstrate and walking through, all that issue and how fun would happen here. So for the start, we started with wallet to wallet. Although it can be very generic or inclusive transaction building, like Cardano CLI, but I've decided to go with very specific use case or example, and then one day we can merge all of these things and make a generic transaction builder. So with one command or one island, you can send to wallet, you can receive from a wallet. I mean, receiving is fine, but I mean, receiving something from a smart contract, interacting with a smart contract and the spending or sending. And of course, staking, withdrawing your reward. And who knows, maybe in future, you can vote in Andamio CLI via a protocol, proposal and voting contract, which we are going to build together as well. So the whole things regard to interacting with Cardano blockchain would happen with transaction. I mean, it will happen in this island. So let's just start with wallet to wallet and look into that. So I've built a folder called TX Builders. These guys are going to build the TX, obviously. But there is something more. For example, user wallet. And user wallet is going to uh, create a user wallet for signing the transaction. So normally, once you want to submit or sign a transaction, you come to your, CLI, and you have like private keys, and signing keys, which you generated via Cardano CLI or Cardano address or Cardano wallet. All of these tools can generate or create wallets for you. And then providing these files to the Cardano CLI in order to sign it. So for the first transaction building and submission, we didn't want to do that, and I'm going to tell you why. So we have just a simple file that's accept the mnemonics or the seed phrase of that wallet. Please do not remember this. Thank you. And then from this mnemonics, these function will drive verification key and signing key. And I should mention this magic can happen by using a library called Borsa. And Borsa is Golang programmable wallet. So you can create all sorts of wallets with just pure code, Golang code. And let me actually share the link. Maybe you want to look into it in the chat. So yeah, by using Borsa, we just created wallet, signing, verification, everything will happen behind the scene. But we are going to see how we can provide a private key file or verification key file for a transaction. So yeah, this is a user wallet, and there is a file called wallet to wallet TX builder. But before that, let's go to the wallet to wallet command. And wallet-to-wallet command is going to accept, I mean, at the moment, 4 flag. And these 4 flags are the origin address, the address we are going to spend or send something from, and just forget about these 2 for now. Destination address, well, the name says the address which the funds is going to go or arrive, and the amount and submit option. And submit option, well, we build this option in this transaction building for submitting via Apollo, because this is the tool. For transaction building in Golang, there is a library called Apollo. And again, let me share this guy as well here in the chat. And Apollo provides all sorts of functionality for building a transaction. We are going to see it and love it, don't worry. But the thing is, Apollo can submit the transaction via block frost. So if you want to build a transaction, you have to have endpoint. I mean, there are several endpoints. You can check it out in Apollo. Actually, let me show you that. So there are different endpoints that you can use and submit your transaction and use, I mean, for querying, getting the UTXOs or datums, any information from the blockchain. You can query that. Apollo provides these endpoints, APIs, function, whatever you call, and you can find them in, I think, TX Building backend. Yeah, in TX Building at backend, you can see, okay, that we have Block Frost, QuickChain, Maestro, and Agmios. So for today, I'm using Block Frost. So I just provided the Block Frost config, the URL, the network ID, and API key, and then setting up this so-called chain context and using this throughout the transaction building. And then at the end of the transaction building, we are going to submit it via, again, the block frost. But we thought, why not using Golang? I mean, actually, why not showcasing that you can invoke, implement, bring, whatever, I mean, integrate other command lines tools into your command line. And that's why we have added the Cardano submission with Cardano CLI as well. And it's actually quite simple. So by using something, I mean, by importing exec library and using command, basically you can just, it's like Cardano CLI transaction submit and doing that. And as easy as it sounds, and really it is that much easy. So you can basically create or craft your transaction, whatever, creating that seaboard, generating a file out of it. I mean, this file normally a Cardano CLI generate and submit. So if you have other tools, if you want to do something with Cardano CLI or any other tools, you can basically bring them into your CLI. So your CLI, or I mean, here is Andamio CLI, but your CLI that you might going to create for future use for yourself can be actually a manager of different CLIs. So the whole point of that tool is to be a manager of other tools and to automating managing other tools. So you don't have to write Bash script or PowerShell script or something. You can just write a Golang script and run that. So we wanted to provide these options so you can see what's going on. And yeah, so in order to run this transaction island, we have to first, let's go build, and then calling Andamio CLI transaction and transaction. and then wallet to wallet. And okay, because we didn't handle many errors, we just got this. So we have to provide those flags. Let's do that. Dash dash origin dash address. For some reason, my keyboard's type R.
The double R, yeah. A couple of
Yeah,
them.
always. I don't know. I think it needs some sort of punch or a smash. Electronics, if they have bugs, you cannot do anything software. You have to go with hardware. A slapping, a smashing, something like, and then suddenly it fixes it perfectly. I don't
Hard
have
problems. Yep. Hard solutions.
any. So I've also have to wallet to just showcase like this thing is happening and all this. Of course, I have Cardano node as well, but for the sake of simplicity, let's do that. So I'm going to use the address of the origin wallet that I'm going to spend, paste in here, and then the destination. Since I know I'm going to be suck at the typing. I'm going just to be lazy and copy paste here and paste it here and pretend I just did it. Yeah. So yeah, the destination would be here and copying this guy, the address of the second wallet, and then the amount. And let's go with I don't know, any number, any number comes to mind. Something very
17 and a half.
17 and a half. So 17 and 500,000 lovelies. Great. And then submit option. So dash dash submit OPT. And by default, if you see in wallet, I mean, this whole persistent flags, all this thing, it just accept the default number. So by default, I'm providing 0. So by default, this CLI, if I do not provide submit, sorry here, submit option, it automatically submit through block for us. But for the sake of like uh, seeing what's happening, let's just put here. So if I run this, we should see that this transaction gets submitted successfully. I mean, we should see a message and then the transaction hash. Let's see. Great. We just created a transaction and submitted through BlockFrost API, and we got the transaction ID. And if we look at to the user one wallet, we should see 17 point something plus the fee. Let's go for the details. This 70 point half of ADA, 500,000 ADA was just deducted from this wallet, and user two wallet, we should see that, yep, it just arrived. So we just by using pure Golang, no any Pascal, JavaScript, anything that you may familiar with, crafted a transaction, simple transaction, of course, and submitted. And if we look at into the code, it actually is again quite simple as well. So here we just set up a wallet. Like, okay, from what wallet I want to spend. This is the function for that, and I just added the origin address from the user one. And also I've added the set wallet exchange address. I mean, the same wallet I'm going to spend would be the change address, which the extra UTXO will end up at there. But it is possible to define another set change address as well. So like a set change address, and it can be completely different address. And you may know in front, it would be better to get the change address from the user because they might set that change address to different address than themselves. For example, eternal, You can do that from, you see the custom, is it no, the change address? Let me see where is the change address? I think this was the guide. I think, yeah. I think this is the option for setting up a different change address for your wallet. So the rest of UTXO is going to end up in this address. So yeah, some for whatever reason they've uh, set that up, and you have to use that. Be careful. So Apollo will provide that. And then I just get the address type of that original address, because this address, as you can see, is just bec32 type, but we need the type that Apollo can work with, although the origin, the bec32, there are function, which some function in Apollo can use this guy, but sometimes it doesn't. So it's better to change, convert it to the address type, and it is a pointer. So we don't create another sort of a space or variable. We can just pass this along and save the memory space, and of course the speed performance. So yeah, and also I got the user at UTXO, so I just query again the block fraud via block fraud and ask, hey, what are the UTXO of this guy, and how many UTXO this guy has. So if you guys remember, for Cardano CLI, you have to specify which UTXO you are going to spend. Like the 3x ID, TX hash, all these index, whatever. But by just using this function, I said, I mean, although it is possible to implement that, that's great. I mean, we are going to see it, sure. But by just using this function, an endpoint, which not only block frost, anyone like Maestro, Archneos, all of them are providing as well. We just query the address of the user, getting all the available UTXO in that particular address and adding them to the transaction building. And Apollo has its own coin selection algorithm. So it goes through the UTXOs, find which one is best for spending, calculated the fee, the asset, this should goes there, this should go here, there, all of this behind the scene, you don't need to worry about anything. So you just by adding this function, add loaded UTXO, and giving this user UTXO is, I don't know, maybe it would be one UTXO or maybe hundreds, who knows. It just goes through and select whatever, and then of course pay to address, like what should I, whom should I pay, destination address, and the amount. I'm getting the amount in float from the user, but I have to convert it to the integer. And then the signing. So add requires signer. Well, even if we don't add that, we cannot sign we cannot submit the transaction, but for being more convenient transaction building, you have to add the signing in the transaction building step. So there are actually really great options for require signers. So these guys just accept the pub key hash of that. But if you do not have the pub key hash for whatever reason, you can use many options for setting the, actually, add requires signer. So you can see add requires signer from address or from bec32. I mean, address is the address type. Bec32 is also is an address, but type is different. And for example, if you do for the address, the nice thing is once you, for example, let's go for this guy because this is the address guy, pointer. You can, as you can see, define which part you want to sign. So as you know, the address has two parts, a payment and a staking part. And this is the nice option of Apollo. You can specify which part actually gets signed, because sometimes an address has like two different parts. Like a payment part coming from a different private key, and many money fits it phrase, and a staking part comes from another. And if your transaction has some sort of withdrawing happening, you might end up using the same, using the signing for the same payment if you are careful. But here you can specify that I want like the payment part of this guy, but I don't want the staking part. Or differently, false, I don't want to use the payment part of the address, but the staking part. Or whatever logic you may have. And that's really nice. So you have the power to choose which part of the address needs to come as a witness and for signing all this thing. So yeah, that's a nice thing I wanted to share. So we just built the transaction. Here's the CBOR. And after, here I'm just calling the wallet, the user wallet you just guys saw. And I just signed it here and got the CBOR hex out of that transaction. Then created this really simple switch case condition. So if the case is 0, like here, it is 0, go to this condition, which is submitting via block cross. And if it is 1, submit via Cardano CLI. So we just saw that and transaction was successfully submitted. So now let's first I wanted to go to the Cardano CLI, but any question, guys, comments, I don't know, swears, kick, slash, spit, anything, feel free. The stage is yours. I think. Okay.
This is such a great start. And yeah, we recognize that this is just step one, and we want to move well beyond into using all of the methods that you just gave us an overview of. But yeah, this is such a fabulous place to start. Anybody here new to this stuff or experienced and have anything you noticed or things you have questions about?
I know you have a lot of questions, and you're trying actually to formulate these questions into something that you can ask. And of course, I had same feeling. It's like, it's like a step of grief. Like first you don't believe something is happening in front of your eyes, and then you just start acceptance. So from the shock and not accepting to acceptance and hope. That these step, it's time. So don't worry. If you do not understand anything, absolutely, it's fine. I didn't. I don't still. There is a still issue. Actually, I brought something issue because like we have Chris here, we have the whole Blink Labs, I think, teams here. So why not? I always like to see my teachers, guru, to suffer, and I don't know why. Maybe this is like some sort of sadomasochistic feeling, but once they once I question their sanity, I learn a lot. So today I have something for them and I prepare something. So Chris, Aurora, ready. I will be ready and I'm going to we are going to have good times.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was gonna mention we have a submit TX function that takes raw CBOR bytes now that I've exported in our TX submit API application, and I did that so that we could reuse it in other places. So it's ridiculously simple to use. It connects to a local node. It has its own config object. So you pass it the config object for whatever node you want to connect to, however you want it to connect. And then you pass it just the transaction, the raw bytes, and that's all it needs.
that's cool. Yeah, indeed. Because this guy, util CBOR, actually, this is a really expensive function. If you guys don't know, converting a byte into CBOR, because the CBOR, I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but the standard, the chronicle things really is complicated. So converting, going through all the standard from a byte to an actual nice CBOR is quite a expensive, an extensive function. So if we can just pass it. I mean, actually, this is the guy for the byte. That's amazing. And then we are going to use that as well. So this is just starting to use Apollo for that. But yeah, that's the next thing for this island to submit via Goraboros. I mean, the building that's submitting with via Goraboros. But before jumping to the fun parts, let me show you how you can submit the same transaction via Cardano CLI inside this code. I mean, not handling everything by yourself. So there is a function I wrote called submit TX via Cardano CLI. I mean, I know, by the way, this is not Go idiomic, or I mean, Go, I don't know, for some reason, Golang people likes to use like one character as a name of function, variables, I don't know, maybe they're pets as a one name or one character. I don't know what's wrong, but this is questioning for me. You might see it everywhere. Like there are
The only
codes out there.
the only place we tend to use one letter is within a function that is on a interface or on a type, so if, for example, you had something that operated directly on a type and it only does one thing, then yeah, we tend to use a single letter to cover that, because the idea is, like, if you're passing in a thing and you're calling that thing C, and there's only 3 lines of code, you should probably be able to handle seeing C go through your code or whatever. But it can definitely be a little daunting when you're first coming in, because it is, as you said, kind of the opposite of what we're kind of taught. But when it comes to creating functions like this, absolutely, they should be very descriptive in their naming.
But that was the thing. The first time variable, yeah, that makes sense. For example, here I mean, in this function, create tx body, we just create a file and put the keyboard code inside that file in the form of JSON. So yeah, we just here I just used file for true type. Just I can use like F. Yeah, that's more convenient, maybe, especially if you just spend some time, I don't know, even millisecond of thinking what should be the name, and if you accumulate all this time, you might wonder, like, I spent just 1 year for naming things, a variable in my whole career. Definitely, that's the thing. But what's function? When the first time I saw the function, something like A and B, that was a breaking point for me. Like, I just this is
We
something.
definitely do not do that. We believe that functions
Thank you.
should be named well enough to figure out what it's doing from just the name.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, if you guys want, really, you can go and read about how you can write a good or clean code. Of course, in many things are universal in different languages, but since Golang is functional, it's not pure functional like Haskell, but it is a functional language. So yeah, you have to really be careful about your functions, because like there is higher order functions and all these things. Uh, so yeah, I mean, you can go read about this clean code and function, all this stuff happening. Anyway, so yeah, the transaction via Cardano CLI, I mean, submit TX via Cardano CLI, just first create a file, so we can just put the keyboard inside the guy, and then calling that command, I mean, executing, I mean, putting this command here and then calling the command here. I mean, the command would be Cardano CLI, transaction submit, and that's it. But of course, this is inconvenient, right? We just submitted via Apollo. And Chris mentioned that you can submit it via Goraboros as well. So why are you doing that? But maybe you need, maybe you want there, maybe there are something Cardano CLI or many other tools out there that you want to use, and it is not available in Golang. So yeah, this is the way for integrating, or I don't know, invoking other tools inside your tool. So just let's do that. And also there is this function I didn't mention, just to create the TXY, and there is this another function to ensure the directory exists, because there is this directory I just passed to this called output. So, and the permission, and this is, Linux stuff mostly. I wanted to make sure, because if you want to use this, I don't want to create all sort of instruction, go this way, create output, do this and that, and they might get confused. Made it automated, more convenient. And then, yeah, this thing checks the directory exists. If it exists, it creates a file and put this everything, and then calling this guy and submit it. So let's see if this thing works or not. So let's again call the same command and then pass in the 1. And this time, let's go for another number. Let's like 36. And let's go with something like 5. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's it. So we are going to send 36 ADA plus 123,456 Lovelace. And then let's see. Okay, submit the transaction via Cardano CLI. Let's see, did this actually submit that? I mean, we should
Looks too
see.
easy.
Yeah, it was really quite fast. You guys see that? Imagine that's. It was so fast. I feel that it didn't submit. Sometimes
Nice.
something shouldn't be fast. It should take their time. So I think it didn't get submitted. So I mean, this thing should have wrote any error if we face, but anyway, okay. We have the file here. So we have the seaboard, just this guy just created. We have the seaboard, so the transaction building was successful. Otherwise, we should have get an error previously, not getting this guy. So we have the transaction body. Let's try to submit it via Cardano CLI itself. So if I just come back here, copy this command, and let's see what will happen. Okay, we got an error, which supposedly we should have seen this error or printed that error there. Why it didn't? I am multi-reader, see the outer, see the buff, see the buff. I don't know. Maybe, anyway, oh, maybe I should have called the IS. Yeah, maybe that what should I if city, yep, and then if yep. Anyway, so let's look at the error fed to decode either the CLI relation format nor the ledger CDS ledger format. Key description not found. Okay, let's go for description. We have description. Ah, I see. See, guys, this is the capital. Since Haskell guys are very, I mean, many languages, but in Haskell, I see it that there is this kind of obsession with capital and small letters, all this thing. This even in JSON, it has to be this guy. It has to be a small. So if I just change that to small, and if I, yep. So yeah, that was the error. So we just solved that error, submitted, and now I think we should see the transaction here. But let me go back to the code and change these things as well. So here was the description, should be D and C. Types yep, and then did this up, yep. So we just see that, yeah, 30 plus the fee, of course. I mean, this is the number, just submit it. So now we just did it by our hand, right? That was not ideal. So let's compile the code again after the change. And let's change the number to It was 666. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's try and see this thing gets submitted or not. Well, okay, again, we got the no error, please. And see this thing gets submitted. 666666. Actually, let me see. Did this, yep, the description here is okay. Uh, Maybe it didn't get submitted again. And why? Let me delete this thing. Go build. Okay, we have the output. Description looks good. Let me see the node. New chip. Yes. So, okay, apparently it didn't get submitted for some reason. So let's look at and see why it didn't get submitted. Uh, we don't have an error here. Let me actually from T that's screen and alone. And then sure, and then under this guy, into that, and then should be. Let's go back again, checking the wallets. Maybe just some time. Nope. It didn't get submitted. So let's run this thing and see what was the error. And for some reason, it doesn't print the errors and the CDR. On the terminal for some reason. Okay, there's a bunch of pointers. Didn't help. But shows there is something. Right. No. CDR, this is I writer. Okay, you know what? I should have put this guy here, not that one. So, this is the CDR out. This is the CDR buffer. Let's go build. 0, 0. So what's the problem? This command looks okay. We don't get an error or anything. Someone start. Send the dots. Start type wait. No, that's it. Start the specific command, but does not wait for it to complete. If it's returned successfully, the C process will be set after successful course. Managing on, this is okay. The C bar is fine. Nothing happened here, so transaction was submitted. Argument. I don't want to give the argument. This is better. So we don't have this guy. We don't have CDO, CDR. Or if it is this, then I mean, yeah, I should write that std bar. Now, std it is equal to 0. Should be writing this. Doesn't write. Right? So it doesn't do anything? And then let me put a command echo hello. I mean, let's see. I wonder the command execute or not. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, why? Doesn't this suppose it should do that? Maybe wait is going to go. No? Echo doesn't print, don't print anything either. So it is okay. I don't know why this command doesn't work right now. Supposedly it should work. What if the lib used to build the CLI? What is the lib used to build the CLI? It is called Cobra. Let me show you the here. Cobra is the library to build the CLI. Okay, so I don't know what's happening here, to be honest, but let's actually, you know what, go back to the little fun part that I actually couldn't solve for now. So I've also created another exactly similar thing, but the idea is we accept the verification file and private part, the signing key file as well from the CLI in order to sign the transaction. So there are this function. Let me bring these guys back. And I get the that CBOR hex string from the files, and let me show you the files actually. Cat user dot payment wiki, for example. This is the file that I mean, you or anyone passed to the Cardano CLI, but here also Cardano CLI. Same thing for the S key, the signing key or private key. So just parse this guy and get the CBOR hex out of them, and then I used something I used. I mean, I took this from Chris, and my implementation was in the tuna fish, if I remember. And then create this key verification type file. Oh, type variable, and then pass it to the signing guy, which is here. So the signing which you guys saw, I use different here. I use the that user wallet that created from the mnemonic or seed phrases of the user, but here I'm passing that. So let's actually do that, and let's see the issue that, I mean, the issue I was facing. So let me just let's remove this, I mean, copy this guy, remove this guy. Let's go and let's think. Yeah, this should be fine. And here I should change this thing because now I'm accepting these guys as well. And then here I'm going to pass these arguments or new arguments to the function as well. We are going to see an error, and I couldn't solve that error. So let's see. First, let me clear. And then I have to bring same thing, but now I have to add these two options as well. Let me go to the, I mean, doing that in the end. So dash dash vk dash file path, which is here, wallets, users, user one, user dot payment dot vk, and then dash dash me, so I see that is it. Yeah, sk 5 plus, okay, let me copy it. And then wallets, users, user one, and then user one payment. That's sk. So if I run this, I see a panic error, and I should change this option to so. Yep. Unknown flag. Oh, okay. Have to go build this guy. Okay. So now, okay, what's the error? This is different.
It's
Why
looking
can't?
for the address as the
Oh,
file name itself.
so it has to be in order. I mean, I thought this guy is going to accept in any order. Okay, that's a bummer. Let
But
me cut
this
this
might be a good
guy.
spot to drop for today. So we really do only have an hour for each of these sessions.
Oh,
But what you already did is you took us through transaction building. You took us into Cardano CLI, and we wrapped a Cardano CLI function, which in the long run is what we want to replace with these kinds of native functionality. And now we're jumping into, well, okay, how do we handle these files that we're passing through? This sounds like a great thing for us to pick up with next week, because obviously we don't want to build something where people just have to enter mnemonic
yeah,
words directly on the screen.
yeah.
But incredible, incredible.
But Eduardo also mentioned about this. I mean, if you guys want to create your wallet, I mean, Bursa is great. This is also great. So, but this is more. Actually, you have a kind of a little bit more power, especially in driving the path if you want to do it. So he shared this link in the chat. But still, Eduardo, I don't know how to. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you guys, you or Chris, created such a tool or way to accept files. I mean, verification and private files, especially the extended guys, not the normal one, and pass it to the transaction building, which is, I mean, that signing part.
Yeah.
signing.
We haven't
with
built a
ST.
loader that'll load from files. So we do not have that.
Loader. Okay.
Yeah, we don't have one that'll load like the private keys and signing keys from files and things like that. We only have output.
Okay. So yeah, that's the idea I was trying to build here. That it loads the private keys, the private key file, and the public key file, aka S key and V key respectively. So this file would be loaded in a transaction building and then converted to the verification key type. I mean, the bytes, all these things, which happens here. But the problem I faced was when I pass the CBOR here, I get then this error. And the error says, your slice is nowhere near 96 or 64. Yeah. So yeah, so as
Beautiful.
we just reached to the edge of the Golang development,
And
I
Chris
see.
says some of the next steps. And this is really what we're trying to do here, is to try to
Indeed.
get ourselves up to speed on what some of those next steps are. And ideally, maybe even be able to help a little bit. So as we build up one example program here, and as we start towards, I can already see from today's lesson how this can turn into some early lessons in the Cardano Go PBL course. But why do we have people taking that course? Well, it's so that they can start building things and maybe even become the contributors to these libraries like Bursa and beyond. So thanks for this step in helping us get there, partner.
Thank you. And again, I'm sorry for finishing in 15 minutes, not 50 minutes.
It was beautiful.
I
Uh,
told
you-
you.
the the early success, it's so cool just to see something work right away and then to jump in as we go. Eduardo, thanks for being here. It's awesome to see
Yeah, indeed.
Blink Labs team. It's good to see Lucas around, and Harsha, Chris, Adrian, Nelson, Sebastian. Good to see everybody. I'll upload this video today.
Yeah.
And we'll pick up here next
I'm
week.
going to push the code as well. I'm going to push the code as well, so you guys can look into it. But we are going to pick this up and work on it. And whomever have something working, I mean, maybe you guys see that there is issues. I'm going to kind of bring back to the normal transaction building, not this guy. But if you want to challenge yourself, or I mean, you want to do, sure, I'll just changing the, I mean, just adding the suffix .go would just work fine. I mean, in theory. But anyway, you can create a pull request, anything you think if you want to add something, or you can create fork. And yeah, you're free and welcome, most welcome to add or remove anything you think should be here or it shouldn't be here. But thank you. Thank you for being here, and see you next week.
Cool. See y'all next week. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah.
And see you soon.
Take care, guys. Goodbye.
Take care, everybody.